How to paint leaves. Now that's what this video is all about, and today we're painting a multicoloured autumn beech leaf. Hello, my name is Paul Hopkinson and I'm a wildlife artist and online art tutor. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to show you the all-important foundation stage to painting a realistic leaf in watercolour. I've got lots of videos on how to add the details to leaves, and I'll link to those in the description below. But the foundation layers can really make or break a painting, and that's true for pretty much any subject, including leaves. I do like to test my colours out first before I start on a painting, and that's because when I'm working with things like leaves especially, we know them colours they've got to be vibrant, they've got to be bright, they've got to be clean, so we don't want to make them colours too muddy. So to do this, having some testing paper first of the same quality and type of paper you're using for your main painting project is absolutely vital. So try those colours out first, make sure you know what colours you're going to be using before you start the painting, and at least that way there'll be fewer mistakes along the way. Oh, do you see that little card at the top? That's a link to a video on a winter beech leaf. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that little bell icon, because by doing this you shouldn't miss any of my new weekly videos from here on. When you're working with watercolour leaves, you got to really think about those wet in wet washes. And also when you're working with, as I say, a watercolour leaf, you got to consider also the texture within those leaves. Okay, so leaf painting itself has to be done gradually, so building up the layers step by step, bit by bit, starting on the lightest shades first and then gradually getting darker as you go along. And throughout that process we can apply a variety of techniques as well. So let's get into some more of the techniques which I like to use when painting leaves in watercolour. Okay, now check out that card that you can see in the top right for more detailed tutorials on adding the detail to leaves. You can also vary the paper type as well, can't you? So you can think about using a hot press paper, which is going to be a smoother surface to kind of work with more of a botanical style. But I like to use with a cold press paper because that gives me a little bit more of a texture to work with as well. And I think that having that extra texture on the paper will add to that textured layer on the painting. And because some of the colours that we use are granulating, so therefore all little bits of pigments break away from the paint as it starts to kind of dry really. It gives you that little bit extra texture to the painting, or kind of feeling of roughness to the leaf. It depends obviously on the leaf in which you're painting as well. But when you're working with beech leaves like these here, you find you want to get more of a smooth surface with that little bit of a textured feel to the leaf. So even though it's very, very thin, of course it is, it's also going to feel quite solid at the same time. So when you're working on watercolour leaves, or in this case a beech leaf, then really consider the overall shape, the colours and the texture before you even make a start on the painting. If you're learning techniques from this video, can I ask you to click on that thumbs up icon as a thank you for all this free content I'm giving you. The thing is, I love interacting with all the people who watch my videos, so please do leave me a comment down below. Comments give me real buzz and they encourage me to produce more content for YouTube, so it's a win-win for both of us. If you fancy some fresh, vibrant colours, then the card to the top right takes you to a video on a spring beech leaf, and they really do pop off the paper. Do you need help mixing colours? Check out the video to the top right. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to paint leaves. The complete tutorial is available in my online school, where I also have all other seasonal variations of the same leaf as well. All the information and the links that you need are in the description down below. I'll see you in the next video to my right, which is all about painting a winter beech leaf.